Hello and welcome back to the Bowers Tribe Facebook Friends Tour. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Patterson. We've been chatting and kind of doing a little catch up, and it's really fun here. We're here in his studio in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're going to do a cam later and show you a little bit about that. And this is interview number 23, right?
23.
23. I forget less than 5 minutes later. Oh my gosh. And as you know, if you've been following me, this is more of a personal level. If you want to learn more about Andy on a professional level with his studio recordings and his studio, as well as his profession with bands and things he's currently with, which you got to really stay tuned because there's a lot of changes going on here on a yearly basis with the bands.
Yep.
We'll put that link and also tag the link to the location we're at currently here as well. So my whole experience with this is to tap in and allow people to see a more personal level of you that maybe they haven't experienced either on social media or on a personal or just a association and affiliation with you, no matter where it was in that part of the world.
Right.
And we've been talking a little bit about our history and situations. If we talked about everything, we'd be here for like a couple hours, and it would be impossible to even recall where we were by the time we were done. But we initially started off, me and him, our original affiliation was 1989, and our big come out together was at the Search Sadhana Shelter Show at the Palladium up on 9th East, which is like a church now or something. And that was the biggest memory initially I have of the start of our friendship, and there's obviously more before that, but I was only 15, so I can't even comprehend last week, let alone 29 years ago. And a lot more since then.
Weirdly, a lot of the memories from back then are stronger than like the middle ground memories. You know, like I remember very clearly a lot of the things that happened back then, but not, there's also like the stuff in between that, it gets a little hazy.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I remember that show. We talked about that, but my first memory of you was at the Insane Aside Pestilence Hate Times 9 show.
Okay.
And you were wearing the DRI cap, and I was a huge fan of DRI, and so I just thought like immediately we'd be kindred spirits. I was like, that guy likes DRI, and so that was my first memory of you, and I bit your style for a while. I was wearing a Domino's pizza cap for a while with the bill flipped up,
That's
and I
fun.
totally took that from you. So
Good thing I back then I was rotating between DRI and Anthrax hat.
Yeah.
When they were trying to do their like rap thing, or like it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I am the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so bad I should be in detention. I am the man.
Yeah. And we were also talking about back then there was a lot of different mixes of genres torn together, and a lot of different things going on during that time frame of the early 90s, shifts, bands breaking up that were legends, and then they went away, and we had no social media back then. We didn't even have cell phones back then, and so everything was all old. We worked our asses off hanging up flyers by the hundreds anywhere we could, and then hitting the high schools or whatever we could say, hey, check out this show, check it, or we'd go to shows to like, that was our social medias connecting. We'd be at Speedo Cafe, the Pompadour, we'd be at all these different places, the Word, whatever we could do, until like just hand out flyers to like connect with people.
That was our social media back then. Is that you would go to the show, even if you weren't super interested in the band playing, you went anyway because you knew all of these people were going to be there.
Yes.
So it was like this meeting ground where people could like connect and hang out, and I mean that's kind of a lost thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, not totally lost. I mean, of course, people still are social in real life and get together, but I remember that we needed that. Like, that was the only way that we were going to see our friends is if we went to the show, because they were going to be there, and so that was I think that's also why back then, and maybe my memory is better than the actual reality of it, but But I remember shows being really like well attended, and a lot of people would come out to
Yeah.
see an all local show. You know, I do remember like there being shows that were only local bands that would be packed.
Yeah.
Just as much as a well known touring band. You know?
Absolutely. And I think about that a little bit, and it almost boggles my mind. How the hell did that many people even know about a show without the internet? There was no internet.
Exactly. You had basically 4 different avenues of discovering about events. You go to Raunch or the Heavy Metal Shop and they tell you about it, or you
Yes.
see a flyer for it, or you get coffee at Coffee Garden on 9th and 9th, and the big telephone pole that would have the flyers attached to it, or the bulletin board up at the Pie Pizzeria by the university. Like
Yeah.
those are the places that people would go, and there'd be flyers, and then you would know that the show's happening next week or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or maybe an announcement on Carousel Radio, because
Maybe,
everybody was
maybe.
listening
Yeah.
to Brad Collins and different shows like that.
Oh,
And
that
all
was
these
my
different, all these different
that was my
things.
church. That
Yeah.
was my church. Is Beyond the Zion Curtain with Brad Collins. Every Sunday I would sit with a pen and a paper and listen to what he would play,
Yeah.
and then he would announce like, that first one was the Dickies, and, da-da-da. And I would write everything down.
Yeah,
and
so you can go buy it.
and then we'd go into Raunch and buy it from him. So he
We
was
didn't-
actually a pretty brilliant business
That was
person in
even
regard.
pre-Google, so I'm really dating us.
Yeah, pre-Google. Yeah, and you would have to read Maximum Rock and Roll from cover to cover to figure out, okay, this guy quit that band and now he's in this new band and they've got this thing. And
Yeah, we used to have to really work hard mentally.
and when you would book a tour, oh my God, you would have to
This is Book Your Own Life, right?
book your own fucking life.
Yeah.
And you would mail out, snail mail, your
Cassette tape.
demo or whatever, and then you would hope that they would either get the letter in the first place
Yeah.
and then respond to it. And there were tours that we did back then where we would show up to the venue and it had been closed down for weeks,
Oh my
but there's no
gosh.
way to convey that information to
Yeah.
us, so
Oh,
we would just
man.
show up and be like, oh, I guess we have the day off.
Yeah, that's a real deal.
And making phone calls, and back in those days you had the way you could cheat phone calls because long distance was a thing,
Yeah.
and that's super expensive, so we had dialers.
Yeah.
So I had this cassette tape that had the tone of a quarter going into a phone,
Oh my gosh.
and it was just repeated on this tape hundreds of times. And so when they'd say, please deposit $4.50 or whatever, I would just hold my cassette recorder up to the phone.
Wow.
And it would do that thing and give the credits, and then you
Oh.
could make a long distance
You're
phone
pretty
call.
high tech. I didn't even have a clue.
That was way high tech. It was like a Jason Broderick War Games style, where he like
yeah.
takes the little tab of the Coke can and hot wires a phone to work. And yeah,
You're like the
anyway.
punk rock MacGyver.
It was MacGyver. Yeah, all for rock.
That's awesome. So Andy's been really consistent. He's living the dream. Like this many years later, he's still really involved with music, really involved with almost the same genres and styles, and still connected with tons of people in the music scene, not only recording but also playing with them. Full drum kit, and I know you have you have some experiences on other instruments as well. So you're well rounded, and you haven't just kind of been lazy like me and just stuck with the drums.
You just found a different path. I wouldn't call it lazy. You're still hitting stuff with your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I play a little bit of guitar and I play a little bit of bass, but
Yeah.
mainly a drummer.
Okay.
If I'm lucky, I played bass when Ether played a show a couple years ago
Yeah.
for Crucial Fest, and I played bass in that. And I used to play guitar in a band called Top Dead Celebrity, but I'm mainly a drummer.
That was cool.
That's my
Drummers
my
Unite.
thing.
So there's huge histories going on, and a lot of it you talk about. This is your passion. This is fun. This is awesome, and you just love doing what you do. Has there been any, if you can remember, has there been any specific area or time frame or experience that was just like, during that moment, you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is like a struggle, even though I love it. this is hard. Has there been anything like that?
Well, hard. I don't know.
Or not
I just
pleasant experience?
Well, I would say like maybe the two moments that I can think of is my a long time ago I moved to LA, and I found myself in a situation of not being in a band
Yeah.
and then being kind of submitting to like not my proudest moment of being really jealous of my friends that
Okay.
were in bands.
Yeah.
And one particular moment, I was working. So when I lived out there, I worked in group homes and people with autism and schizophrenia and things like that. And I always worked graveyards, and so I watched a lot of TV while I was there.
Yeah.
And I remember this one moment where I was flipping through TV, and all of a sudden I landed on a channel, and it was Cash Tolman's face, like taking up the entire screen, and he was playing in that band Civ,
Okay.
and they were on MTV. It was like some thing called Reverb where they would play like clips of live bands in a show, and I found myself really jealous, like really like. And it wasn't. It was an ugly feeling, you know. And so I had to. So from that point, I really like tried to put myself out there and join a band, and keep playing, you know, and instead of just like being like, why not me, you know? Because that's
you took action. It was kind of like an inspiration.
It was. It really was. It's like, oh, he's out doing it. Well, why is he out there doing it? Oh, he moved to New York, and he met up with people and he got gigs, you know, and so I did the same thing. I put an ad out in the local magazine down there. It's like the City Weekly. It's called Recycler, and I play with. I said I'm a drummer, but I was also dabbling with like samplers and making beats and things like that, and I got a call back, and this woman asked me to jam with her, and when I met her, we went back to her house, and she was living with this dude Jeff Newell. He goes by the name Critter.
Okay.
And he was a record producer.
Oh.
And he was working on that Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy record.
Okay.
But he had done all the old Ministry stuff back in Chicago, you know. And he taught me how to use Pro Tools.
Oh,
like
cool.
through this girl, that band didn't actually end up being a thing.
Yeah.
But I ended up being friends with this guy, and so I would go over there after work and hang out with him, and he gave me the best piece of advice ever, which led to me sitting here in my studio now. I was like, I want to start recording. Where do you think I should go to school or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like, don't. He's like, buy some gear.
Yeah.
Just get to it, make some mistakes, and learn from them.
Okay.
And just like get to work.
Yeah.
You know. And so I did just that. I bought a Pro Tools rig, and then soon after that, I moved back to Utah. Started calling my friends and be like, hey, I've got this equipment, and come record with me.
That's
you know?
fun.
And here I am today. You know,
That's so cool.
it's still happening.
Now, while we're on the topic of studio, because we're going to move above and beyond that, I'm going to do a cam of your studio, so just one part of it, so people see if and when you come here what this potential is. So we have like all these awesome amps and sound dampening things and cases. It looks like a backstage of a tour set in some stadium somewhere. It's pretty fun. And so one of the things that I like to do is tap into stuff that maybe nobody knows too much about. And we talked about you do have some other passions outside of music, and one of them is culinary, like food and cooking and learning more about that. And you even talked about specific, like, oh man, I was like totally fascinated with ramen. Can you touch a little bit more about your passion with that?
Yeah, I just I don't know. I love food, but I like cooking, and I like. So I was telling you that I have different phases that I go through.
Yeah.
And a phase that I went through is pressure cookers.
Okay.
And really like embracing what those do and how cool they are, or slow cookers to do the opposite, or okay. So one thing that happened I played a show. We played a show in Sardinia,
Okay.
and we stayed on this farm,
Yeah.
a bed and breakfast, but it was on this huge farm.
Okay.
And the little old Italian lady who owned the place made food for everybody, and I had this potato salad that broke my brain. I'd never had anything like it before. And I forgot to, I'm not like I don't generally like take pictures of my food and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But this one I wish that I did because I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it was haunting me for like months,
Oh my
after
God.
that. I was like, what was in it? And so I'm on the internet like looking up potato salads and like, no, it doesn't look right. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember it not having, celery in it
Yeah.
or anything. And so I finally, like this thing clicked in my brain. I'm like, oh, I have the number of the guy that picked us up from the airport,
Yeah.
and he knows the lady because he works with her or through bands that stay with her and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I called him and asked him if he could get me in touch with her, and he sent me her email.
Okay.
I emailed her, and I just went on this long-winded thing. I'm like, I really like your potato salad is like, I'm Ahab, and your potato salad's my white whale. And I really, I know if it's a secret, that's fine. But can you give me just kind of like, what was in it, And and she wrote me back the next day with a full recipe and
Was you like in
instructions.
heaven? You're all.
And I was like, oh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
little things like that, like I taste delicious things and I try to
Yeah.
recreate them and yeah. So ramen is my current thing right now. I had a really awesome bowl of ramen on tour a couple of years ago, and then was able to revisit that place on tour this year, and I've just been on a ramen journey.
That's
like
fun.
getting good noodles and making my own stock and things like that. So
That's
I haven't delved into making my own stock yet.
Yeah.
I've been fortifying stock where I use
do.
stock, but I use add garlic and other aromatics to it and things like that to make it taste better. But
So to help out Andy,
Yeah.
if you have knowledge of these things, go ahead and post recipes or links below this video, and
Please.
and to kind of help him with that part of it, is inspiration of things. Let me think. I'm kind of brain dead right now. This has been really fun.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
I was like, you're talking about ramen. I'm like, oh, have you actually hand rolled noodles and different things like that?
No, I haven't done that yet. I did get into pasta making about a year and a half ago. I got really into like making my own pasta and ravioli and that whole business. But the ramen noodles seem difficult, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'll.
Oh, another thought
Get
I
there
had that would be fun is we're going on 29 years here, or actually almost 30.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to just kind of fun with this, if you known and had connections with Andy 5 to 10 years plus, post the amount of years below this video. I think it'd be kind of fun to kind of check that part out with all the community and how many years and different things like that they've known.
You know what you're not supposed to tell.
Yeah, don't be like naughty. So, but because I have the delete button option. So,
No,
so Andy, would it be safe to say that we are friends in real life and not just on Facebook?
absolutely.
So this tour is all about really connecting real people in real life and proving that social media can be used for positive connections. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I appreciate you watching it. Check out and support anything that Andy's doing because it's always good stuff. Have a good day.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.